RNC headquarters here in Washington. Reince, thanks very much for joining us. You're very optimistic about the Senate, but let's quickly talk about some governor's races right now, especially in your home state of Wisconsin. How much trouble is the governor there, Scott Walker, in because he's got a tough challenge from Democrat Mary Burke?
Well, I think he's going to win tonight, and it is a tight race, and that's why we need everyone to get out there and vote. But, you know, Scott had a great week last week, and I'm not sure how closely you follow in the weeds, but Mary Burke, the opponent, had a really miserable ending to her campaign when it came out that her own family had fired her from her own job at Trek Bicycle, which is really not the way you want to go into a finish. So it was a pretty embarrassing conclusion, and I think Scott had some momentum going into that week anyway. The Marquette University poll, which is pretty good, showed that Scott was 7 points up. I don't know if it's that good, but I certainly think it's going to be close, but Scott will survive tonight.
What about two other incumbent Republican governors? Rick Scott, he's in a very, very close race with former Republican, now Democrat Charlie Crist, as you know, in Florida. And in Pennsylvania, the Republican government, Tom Corbett, he's in a very close race. He could lose as well. If the Republicans start losing some of these gubernatorial races, what does that say?
Well, I mean, I think governor's races are very local. I mean, you know, you can look at throughout the entire Midwest, you have states that are almost completely dominated by Republican governors, Republican legislatures, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, but then those are the same states 2 years later that go all for Barack Obama. And so, I mean, it's very different. I mean, analyzing national races and local races, which governor's races are just very, very, you know, unique to the states. Rick Snyder is doing well. It's a close race, but Rick Snyder will win, and he's turned Michigan around. I think Kasich is going to probably run away with it tonight, and his opponent really never out of the starting block. So I think they're just local, Wolf. But if you look at the Senate races across the country, it's the candidates have done very poorly on the Democrat side, and they're linked to Barack Obama. His, you know, ratings and approval are all in the ditch, and so is the country. And so that's why I think you're going to see a very big win among the Republicans tonight up and down the ticket.
I don't know if the country's in a ditch right now. The economy, at least the macro picture, as far as unemployment, job growth, stuff like that, seems to be doing okay. I don't know if people in the middle class and the poorer people are feeling all those gains, but I don't think it's fair to say the country's in a ditch right now, is it?
Well, I think Wolf, if you peel back the onion a little bit and the layers, I think what you'll find, though, is that the labor participation rate is at some, you know, decades-long high. I don't want to put a number on, but I think it's sort of like 40, 50 years at its worst case of people actually employed in this country. I don't really think people back home in Wisconsin and Iowa and the middle of the country think that this economy is on the right track. I don't think they're very impressed with Barack Obama's leadership. They don't like Obamacare. The stimulus bill didn't stimulate anything. All these Democrats that were Obama's loyal lieutenants are going down and don't even want to admit that they supported Barack Obama. So obviously we're lacking leadership in this country. I think people are tired of Washington. I think that in many cases they're tired of both Republicans and Democrats. But unfortunately for this president, he's not been the type of person that's led the way. And he is the head of the Democrat Party, and these Democrat senators followed him off the plank. So now they're going to pay the price.
So when Rand Paul, the Republican senator, says the Republican brand, in his word, sucks, you say...
You know what? He's a good friend, and actually we do a lot of the things together. When he made those comments, he was actually making them from the Black engagement office that we pay for at the RNC. He's not talking about the RNC. He's not talking about what we're doing here. He's actually part of our entire engagement effort in Black, Hispanic, and Asian communities. I agree with him in the sense that unless we operate on a 4-year basis in Black and Asian and Hispanic communities, we're not going to get better. But the beauty is that's what we are doing, and that's why you see us doing so much better with Black and Hispanic voters across America. You can look at Colorado as an example of that, and what Cory Gardner's doing there. In some ways, he's doing better with Hispanic voters than any candidate we've had there in recent memory. So we're making gains, and what Rand Paul is saying is actually an add-on to what our Growth and Opportunity Report said 18 months ago, which is what we've turned around at the RNC in a historic way.
Reince Priebus is the chairman of the Republican National Committee. Reince, thanks very much for joining us. We'll check in with you, obviously, after the election tonight as well.